Hey guys, I've been working on doing the wiring for the dual fuel pumps on my project here, and I got the iWIRE dual pump harness. It's a kit, plug and play, and there's only one wire that you'll depin if you want, and that's just to run the wire through the grommet up front to the engine bay. If you want to make a bigger cut in the grommet, you don't even have to depin that. So no depinning, nothing, you just plug it all in. I'll get started here on how to do this and go as fast as possible, but hopefully help you out as well. So here we go. The harness has a plug that plugs into the same type of plug that's right there that is on this. I think that's the fuel controller right there, that silver box. See with right there, that silver box right there. So instead of plugging that white plug, which comes from up here, into the factory silver box, you plug that into the iWIRE harness, and then off of the harness comes another white plug just like that you plug into that silver box. So you just unplug it, plug it into that just like that, and then off of here there's another little pigtail that will go up under. It's plugged in on the bottom of that silver box right there. Okay, I'm trying to get some light in here. On the bottom, there it is, on the bottom of that silver box is where that plugs in, and that's it. And carrying on, so the iWIRE kit for the dual pump, I have the radium dual pump hanger, and I have two AAM 340s, and here is one of the harnesses that comes with the kit right here. This harness is attached into some other wiring and plugs, okay? And the kit comes with this block here. It's like a power block. The power cable connects to the terminal on the bottom. And on the harness are two plugs that plug right into that black block. And you can see it right there. It's self-explanatory. Just figure out a way to plug it in. If you want to plug it in before you mount it or after you mount it, it's a pain in the butt either way. Just everything's kind of tight in here. It also comes with a relay right here. I mounted the relay right there behind the sheet metal, just like I mounted that behind the sheet metal. And there's a ground wire coming out of that little harness too right there. You can see I ground away some of the paint, all of the paint, and fastened the relay onto the sheet metal with the ground on the bare metal, because that's what you want. Want a good ground. From the rest of this harness comes not just this loom, but a red and a black wire. Okay, you'll see them. I ran the black wire, which is for the secondary fuel pump switch. It's like a Hobbs vacuum / boost source switch that will turn the second pump on. I ran the black wire along here. Okay, it looks like the fuel door latch cable. Run it all the way along here with the factory wiring that was already fastened in there. The power cable from the block I ran along here. I put some really thick two-sided tape there to protect the insulation from the metal of the strut bolt, top hat bolt. And I ran that along there too, underneath that space where the back seat goes. There's another space, the same kind of space over here where the back seat is. Right there you can see that gap, that space there. Now, this black loom, you run it up here to the fuel pump hanger, because there's some terminals you gotta fasten onto there. At the end of that, right where the terminals come out, there's also a red wire coming out that's really long. You can see it right there with that white plug right there. I ran it back here and ran it along with the rest of the wires and the power cable along there and fastened it in there and ran it under there. Then what you do is, what I did, I tied off the cable and the two wires to the, looks like the trunk latch cable right there. I didn't cut it yet, I haven't cut the tie yet, but there it is. I'm going to straighten them out real good and tie them together along here. And then what you have to do is you take off the trim here, which I did. I didn't take that pillar off yet. I'm going to do that. But once you do that, pull all the carpet up. It pulls up pretty easy, it looks like. Once you get that trim off, this just pulls right up. Right here. You can pull this up, see? You've already got stuff going under there, so you just have to kind of finagle it and run it under there, just like these wires. Looks like I got to vacuum a little. Car's been on stands for like almost 17 months now, guys. Anyway, there's the rest of the cable I ran through, the red wire I ran through, and the black wire for the secondary fuel pump switch. Now, the black wire, this is the end of it. This is what I depinned, okay, from a plug I'll show you up under the hood in a minute. This is so that it goes through the rubber grommet easier than trying to make a bigger hole and run the plug through it with it. So that's the only depinning I had to do, that I chose to do. You don't even have to do it, but it gives you more room, you don't have to squeeze the plug through a cut in the grommet. And then this wire is for power to the relay, the secondary relay or whatever. And when you run this wire, this does not go in the engine bay. The only two that go in the engine bay are this power cable and that black cable I just showed you. This red wire will go to the fuse box up front. The kit comes with a jumper. Still have it in my little baggie here. And in there, you do the jumper into keyed power fuse, and that's it. And you can wind the wire up or do whatever you want as long as it's hiding. Now, the black and the wire and the red cable, you want to poke them through this grommet. So there's a nice soft spot right here, it looks like. So I'm going to make this little slot, run a metal coat hanger. I love metal coat hangers. They're like my favorite tool ever. Run it down in there and grab the wires and pull them through, and then run them along and tie them off along this. We'll run them right into the engine bay through that little space there. I'll put the, the mud guard fender protector piece back in eventually. When you run the power cable in here, the instructions, I have them, but I forgot exactly what the instructions say. One of the ends, there's two colors. One of the ends goes to the silver, and of course one goes to the copper. And this I'm going to bolt right here, okay, right in here with this little button head bolt. And then one end's going to go, the end from the trunk is going to go onto one, and then this little short, this part of the power cable, is what's going to run to the positive terminal. Using this right there. And this is the plug I was telling you about that I depinned so I don't have to pull it through the grommet. This attaches, the black wire goes right in there. And then this is a ground for the Hobbs switch. I call it a Hobbs switch. It's a Hobbs switch. Ground that, decide where you want to put the switch in here to connect to a vacuum source. And there you go. That's basically it, except for just make sure when you do the jumper into a fuse, when you pull that original fuse, you want to make sure and put the original fuse into the jumper once you plug the jumper in. Okay, there you can see one of my jumpers for my puddle welcome lights, whatever you want to call them. Just figure out a good keyed power fuse. I think fuse number 11 is a good choice according to what the iWIRE instructions said. Just read the instructions. It comes with a frickin' 67-page instruction book. You'll find it. If you can read, you're good to go. You'll figure it out. And then, yeah, my stereo installation. I installed my Kenwood. I broke the friggin' stupid plug that comes off the Maestro unit or whatever. It has a clip on it, and I didn't realize it. And I broke it, so I got a new frickin' OBD connector. You have to connect the stereo into the OBD for like signals from the gauges or whatever, but it's pretty much done. My Kenwood, yay. I tested it out. It sounds a lot better. Anyway, the dual pumps. Now, oddly, iWIRE forgot to send me one of the little pigtails that will come off of here, and there's some wires that connect to the terminals all on here, okay? Self-explanatory. The hanger's labeled, the wires are labeled. Fuel pump 1, negative, fuel pump 2, positive, fuel pump 1, positive, and then there's a separate ground wire right here that you connect to fuel pump 2, and then you ground it somewhere good, like maybe the seatbelt bolt or wherever you decide, okay? Coming off there. So you'll cut a slit in here to run these wires through and then connect to your fuel pump hanger. Once I get my iWIRE little pigtail that plugs into this with like 3 or 4 more wires coming off of it, then they connect to the terminals there, how they're labeled. And of course, this is going to be this way, and I'll close it all up. So, or I might leave it open so that when I first start up the car, I'll see if there's any leaks and stuff, which there shouldn't be because I tightened the crap out of the AN fittings and all that. But just to make sure, you know, I'll leave this off. That's basically it, guys. There's that red wire I told you about. That's the one that I ran back into the trunk, tied it off, and that's for the relay that I showed you in the back. So there you go. I'll show you what the little switch looks like for the secondary pump to make it turn on. So your second pump will turn on. That needs to be calibrated with a little special, some kind of electrical tool to turn on at a certain boost pressure. Here's the little switch. That little plug I showed you plugs right into this, and then you ground it. So this is the plug that I showed you guys right here. Boom, plugs into this. Put it where you want it to get the vacuum signal, and, you know, zip tie it or fasten it somehow, and just ground it with the other ground cable, ground wire right here. And there you go. I kind of changed my setup, guys. I got a different turbine housing for my turbo, a little smaller, and single scroll, and I'm at a higher elevation. I'll show my turbo in the future video when I start putting my engine in, and I'm going to have a custom header made, and it'll be cool. Decided to go with a 0.3 AR housing for not sacrificing too much low-end torque or high-end torque or low-end torque and power. So there's my low profile spall fans, and I got my radiator with custom shroud behind there with a towel. Been there forever. And my J-pipe piece, one of the short pieces of it, and my intercooler piping's in that box, and stuff just everywhere. And of course my engine, P2P Racing built, will hold about 700 horsepower, which is good for me. I got the competition clutch twin disc organic. I'll put that on, put the engine in. I got to put the intake on, obviously. Got the BRZ intake, and so yeah, I'm going to do Vangin clamps on all the intercooler piping. And there's my break-in oil filter, and my break-in oil that I got from Ryan at P2P Racing right there. My garage is a mess, but oh well. I'm working in here, so who cares? There's my engine container still. They wanted $480 to return that friggin' engine container. Even though it's half as high now, because I stacked the one inside the other. And it was half as much when it was closed and about this tall with the engine in it. So explain that to me. Anyway, there we are. And so helped you guys. Peace. I'll talk to you in my next video.